Welcome to the Modernize or Die podcast, CFML News Edition, where we keep you up to date with everything going on in the Cold Fusion community. We'll share the latest news on events, releases to engines, frameworks, libraries, and tools, as well as spotlighting quality content from the community. Okay. Welcome back to the CFML Modernize or Die podcast, CFML News Edition, episode 152. Little technical difficulty there, pushed the wrong button. Anyway, we're back here, we're good to go. Morning, everybody. Hi, everyone in the chat. Okay, well, I'm Gavin Pickin. I'm joined again by Daniel Garcia, Senior Developer at Ortus Solutions. And
Hello.
We're ready to go. Are you guys ready?
Scott Steinbeck's ready. David Bellinger's ready.
Oh, good afternoon over there, David.
I'd be more ready if I wasn't scratching my nose when I thought I had another 2 seconds of you doing the intro.
Yeah.
My God. Thank God.
Yep, thank God. Okay, well, why don't we get into it, Daniel?
Okay, well, as always, the first thing we always want to do is say thank you to our sponsors, Ortus Solutions, the makers of CodeBox, CommandBox, ForgeBox, TestBox, and all your favorite boxes out there. Now, a few ways to say thanks back to Ortus is to buy some ITB tickets and come to the conference. You can like and subscribe to our videos on YouTube. You can help Ortus reach for the stars. We got to have a sound effect for that.
I'll get it hooked up. Yeah.
Star and Fork are repos. You can install all of our GitHub repos with Eric's awesome little module that automatically stars everything. Subscribe to our podcast on your podcast app. Sign up for a free or paid account in CFCasts. We're releasing new content every week. We do have a Box Life store if you want to order cool merch, cool t-shirts, some really neat designs. I really like the CommandBox one that's up there, says your server up.
Yep.
And as always, you can buy Ortus's books, 102 ColdBox HMVC Quick Tips and Tricks on Gumroad.
Yep, lots of cool ways to support Ortus, so thanks everyone who does that. And then Patreon supporters, we wouldn't be here without our Patreons. It'd be a lot more lonely in the chat too, so thank you, Patreons. We have 37 Patreons providing 100% of the funding for this podcast, which is pretty awesome. And we're 53% of the way to fully funding the hosting of ForgeBox.io, which is Cold Fusion's package management application and works great with CommandBox. So we've got a lot of S3 storage for all these packages and all the different versions of these packages. So that's what we're trying to fund next. And then we have a Patreon-sponsored job posting as well. So our friends over at Motorsport Reg have 2 job opportunities, senior software engineers for motorsports. And basically, they're cool jobs. They've got a couple of good leads on there, but we're hoping to get them a few more here. So if you guys know anyone looking, please let them know. And we're going to share the video right now.
Nice.
And today with me, I have Brian from Haggerty. You want to tell us a little bit about what you guys do over there?
Hey, Gavin. Thanks for having us on. First, we're big fans of the podcast, so it's fun to be here with you today. I work at a company called Haggerty. I am a longtime Cold Fusion person that folks might know from conferences and so forth many years ago. And right now I'm leading a team at Haggerty, and we build a 2-sided SaaS marketplace called motorsportreg.com. And so this last year, we did hundreds and hundreds of thousands of event registrations for automotive and motorsport events. And right now I'm looking to hire 2 senior Cold Fusion and JavaScript developers. So we've got a pretty large and pretty complex Cold Fusion app. And we're also building a lot of Node and Vue. That's kind of our future technology stack. And so we're looking for 2 engineers to come join our team and help us basically build, enhance, and grow into the future.
Wow, sounds pretty good. I know that you did a lot of work with the CF payment library back in the day when we met way back in 2013 or something, I think, at CF Objective.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it was like basically battle tested because you guys put just thousands and thousands of transactions through it, right?
Yeah, the CF payment was a labor of love for me. I saw something that was cool in another language, and I'm like, we need that in Cold Fusion. I can say that library has probably processed, maybe $1 billion, not just from us, from lots of people who use it, but hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars. So yeah, we work at a pretty large scale. And the other cool thing is that it's consumer facing. So my family, a lot of my family are accountants. And so the joke that I always make is you can build any kind of software anywhere, like you can build accounting software, but we get to build software for motorsports. And so one of the fun side effects of that is that we get to go to the racetrack and we deal with people who are really living out their passion. Like this is what they love to do for fun. And so it's a fun space to be operating in and supporting them at that scale.
Yeah, I definitely see a lot of pictures up on Twitter, and I do get jealous. But well, it sounds great. Sounds like you guys are doing great things in the community and in the industry. And yeah, so we got 2 spots available. So if you guys are interested, check out Brian, and we'll have more details in the show notes. So thanks a lot, Brian.
Thanks, Kevin. Thanks, everyone.
Okay, so as David's in the chat, he feels like he's seen this clip before. Yes, we've played it a few times. Yeah, we really want to, support them for supporting us, and hopefully, if you guys are looking for a job, Haggerty Motorsport Ridge is a good opportunity. And again, they have had a couple of people go through the system looking for 2 senior engineers. So they've got a few good candidates, and if we can get a couple more of them, that'd be great. So we'll be updating the video and not showing it quite as much as we go on, but that's one of the perks of being a top level patron, is you get a little extra care, and so we wanted to show that there.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yep, absolutely.
Yep. Okay. So news and announcements. So we have lots of Into the Box updates. As we mentioned, super early bird pricing ended May 31st, but we have early bird pricing still, so you still can save some money if you buy your tickets this month. So check that out. And we have some pretty cool conference edition podcasts. If you guys like our podcast, which hopefully you do because you're listening, we've got some special podcast editions. So the Modernize Die, this is the CFML News edition. We also have a conference edition that we bring out when we're doing conferences. And so we have a few episodes coming up. And the first one that we released was about the conference with me. So you can hear my beautiful wife asking me some questions about the conference. So you'll find out about Into the Box 2022, how it all got started, where it began, what's the format, a little bit about what type of speakers we'll be having and all that. So if you want to find out a bit more about the conference, check out that conference podcast.
Yep. And the next one we got is in the podcast series is Legacy Code Conversion to the Modern World with Dan Codd. I've been trying to teach Gavin how to say Dan Codd's name correctly. It's Dan Codd because he is from the Boston area, even though it's spelled card.
Yep.
Anyway, it's a special podcast for attendees, undecided attendees. It's got his Legacy Code Conversion to the Modern World workshop, talking about how to take a legacy app and totally modernize it. And
Yep.
you want to. Yep.
Yeah, so it's a great workshop, great little conversation there with Dan, so check that one out too.
Yep. And then we also have one with Getting Started with B2D, TD with Brad Wood. It's another workshop. He's going to be talking about what he's going to be offering in that workshop, why you want to attend, all the cool testing stuff that Brad likes to talk about.
Yep, for sure. And the good thing is, it's like everyone's the perfect audience for this because everyone needs to do more testing, right?
Yeah.
Yep, and so, but yeah, that's a good little episode as well. And then one more little update for you for Into the Box, which is actually a big top secret announcement. So you guys are hearing it first. We haven't announced it anywhere else, but this year, due to COVID and other reasons, some of the CFML community speakers that we love to have every year are not going to be able to make it to this year's Into the Box, but we wanted to include them anyway. So we were trying to decide, should we, have them virtual during some of the sessions like we did last year because of the change where, some people be on screen, everyone be there sitting. But we decided after much debate, in efforts to maximize content and ensuring we have the speakers in front of attendees at the conference, the best option was to host a third track. So instead of 2 tracks this year, you're going to get a third track, and we're calling it the pre-conference track. Why? Because it's going to be the week before. So basically having a dev week format. So the old ColdBox Developer Week, Ortus Developer Week format, we're having it where it's Monday, the August 29th through Friday, September 2nd. We're going to have 5 days, 2 sessions per day at 11 a.m. Central and 2 p.m. Central. And then we're going to be, live sessions with Q&A via Zoom for those ITB attendee ticket holders. These are just for basically the conference attendees. So we will be recording these sessions, and we'll be providing them to the Into the Box attendees to download and watch prior to the conference if they weren't able to attend the live session. And I thought this would be great because on the way to a conference, usually I watch last year's conference videos on the plane. This time we can watch this year's conference videos on the plane. And so the cool thing is, though, because we have all those content, we're actually going to try and get another room set up on site. And so basically we'll have a viewing area, so you can actually have a third track at the conference itself. So you'll have 2 live sessions with live speakers that you can ask questions after and mingle with and everything, and which we really wanted to maximize at the conference. But you'll also have a third track, so 10 additional sessions would be great content from great speakers that we're just not able to have there, and then you'll be able to watch it there. And then we're going to try and have a Slack room available for you guys to ask questions and whatnot. And depending on the speaker's availability, have some time for that. But basically, we're going to have 3 tracks now, so a lot of great content. And you'll have to wait till next week to find out who's going to be speaking at the special pre-conference. So how about that, Daniel? You got a week of conference, and the week before, we're going to hype you up with all this other great content from even better speakers, too. Like, these are top speakers we just couldn't go without.
Absolutely. And, again, it's always kind of funny. We talk about this, and you're like, I'm going to download all these and watch them on the plane. I'm like, I have never watched a tech session on a plane. Usually I'm on a plane like, okay, don't crash, don't, or just being chill. And I wonder, to the room, to everyone in the chat, does anybody watch tech conference videos and presentations on their plane ride to their destinations? Or is Gavin just a go-getter?
I thought you were going to say crazy person, because we know that's all true. But yeah, for sure. I mean, listen to podcasts too, but that's just what I do. I can't help but listen to content, and usually, it's like stuff that I want to remember or I want to catch up on. But
for me, I just want to chill with, right? Like a movie, like David mentioned, a movie. Yeah, a movie or a TV show, I can do that. I don't have to think too much. And I feel like when I watch these podcasts or these presentations, I actually want to think and pay attention. And Gavin is an overachiever with sound ideas.
Yeah. Anyways, or you can watch them on the way home if you're still jazzed about the conference and you're sad that it's over, because we get that too. So
true.
So we have a cool pre-conference format, and we'll be bringing those speakers and sessions to you very soon. So Phil said the 10-hour flight could be boring enough for him, so he might watch some tech stuff too. Yeah.
I'll try and sleep, Will, if I was on a 10-hour flight.
Yep, for sure. Okay. So next up, we have some new releases and updates. And so this one, this is a shout out to Brad, because a Vue feature has rolled out to Command Box Service Manager task services. And I said Vue because Brad did a typo and Twitter still doesn't let you edit it. So that's why we're rolling with it. But there's
Are we sure he didn't mean Mew?
I don't think he did, but yeah. A Vue feature has rolled out the Command Box Service Manager module. In addition to servers, you can now make task runner daemons into a Windows, Mac, Linux service as well. So these are great for MQ consumers, file system watches, or scheduled tasks. So more information at the Command Box Service Manager book, and it's pretty dang cool. So now you make a task runner, you can basically turn it into like a little, almost not serverless, but a little self-running task that just runs on an infinite loop, and that's pretty damn cool.
That's very darn cool.
Yeah, and Mew is MEW, but it makes me think of Super Troopers, right? Where they'll say meow.
Mew.
So not Mew, meow. And anyways, so sorry, Brad, I had to make a little fun of you for that, but yep. So, but next up, we have webinars, meetups, and workshops. So a lot of stuff going on. So last week, overachiever Gavin was an Online CF Meetup, and so I had a session, when should I use third-party libraries versus roll my own? So this one I tried to talk about the trade-off between using third parties and rolling your own, which in Cold Fusion development, a lot of people like to reinvent the wheel and do their own. So I was trying to share my views of the pros and cons, and try and convince you that not all libraries are evil. Yeah, basically that was sort of the goal of that, and I think it went pretty well. So we have the recording up. Charlie was gracious enough to host me and put that video up on YouTube, so we have the link and it's shared there. And I couldn't fit it all in 1 hour, which those who know me, I have 150 slides and I flick through them as fast as I can. I still can't make them through. So this time I decided, you know what? I'll stop writing this presentation and I'll save it for another session. So I have another one, right, Daniel?
Absolutely. So coming up next, not this week, next week, the 23rd, how to find, install, and implement third-party libraries in CFML with Gavin Pickin, another meetup.com Charlie's Cold Fusion Meetup, Online CF Meetup, 9 to 10 Pacific time. What's the specific time? 11 to 12 Chicago time, because that's the time most people in the world care about.
Yeah.
Basically, in this meetup, Gavin will talk to us more about how to actually install and implement these third-party libraries.
Yep.
Including Java jar. Man, my eyes. I read, it says even Java jar files, and I read even jar files. And I'm like, what?
I won't ruin this by doing a bad impersonation, but I want to.
Oh man. So yeah, so coming up next week.
Yep, very cool.
Be there or and Charlie just posted it.
Yep. Yeah, I literally just had Charlie gave him the information right before, and Charlie's already got it posted. So thanks, Charlie. Awesome work with that. We love it. And I think this will be episode 297, so we're getting really close to that 300 mark, and all of them are available, all the previous recordings, so it's a huge, data storage.
Hang on a second. Okay, Gavin, you just said 300 mark, but you can't say Dan Cod. It's the same pronunciation.
I don't know. I talk funny. Sorry. I have been here half my life now. Well, actually, half my life I've lived here, but I haven't spent half my days here. So I've still got a little New Zealand twang now and then. So,
twang. Okay.
Yep. Okay. Anyway, in case you missed it, and if you're not a Patreon, you definitely missed it, because we had our first Patreon-only live stream series event last week, Coding with the Kiwi and Friends. And so we had a special guest. I had actually 3 Kiwis joined us. So we had me, I was hosting it, and I had Adam Cameron join me to speak about TDD and tell me how I was doing it wrong, and he reminded me several times that I was doing it wrong. But also we had Kai Koenig, who's the German who now lives in New Zealand, and he's also a Kiwi, and he was there as well talking. So it was pretty cool. We had about, I think, probably about almost half of our Patreons, maybe a third of our Patreons show up for that live, which was awesome. And we had a good time. We ended up cutting it off about an hour and 40 minutes or something, because we just kept talking. It was a good session, and we're building my little app that I'm going to be presenting at Adobe Developer Week here in a few weeks' time. So it was pretty cool. Yeah, we had 3 Kiwis in 3 different continents, and the only one that lives in New Zealand is the one who's a German. So that's kind of funny. But anyway.
So New Zealand, which continent is New Zealand part of? Australia?
Oh, that's what I was actually going to say. It's like it's kind of close to Australia, 4 or 5 hours away, kind of close to Antarctica. So I don't know which one you're going to group it in. Yeah, so it's
Oceania. There we go.
Yeah.
But is Oceania a continent?
No. Anyways. Oh, details. But yeah, the cool thing is that since you are not a Patreon, you may have felt left out, but it's okay, because we have it up on CFCasts. So CFCast recordings, you can go see the Coding with the Kiwi and Friends video right there. So as I said, we walked through it. We talked about different approaches, like even something as silly as like, where do you put your folders? Like, how do you like to organize your tests? Do you group them by modules? Do you group them by types and then by modules? Or, like, how do you... We talked about lots of stuff, and it was, just really relaxed, just chit-chat, and we had the Patreons giving their input and feedback, too. So it was pretty cool.
Yeah,
I really enjoyed it. Yep. So it was fun, and we have another one coming up this week, right?
We do, on Coding with Kiwi and Friends with special guest Kai Koenig this Friday, talking databases, ORM, and database testing. Friday, June 17th at 1 p.m. Pacific or 3 p.m. Central Time. Patreons, check your emails. I know, Gavin, you were sending those out last week. There's something that didn't get pressed properly, but I think you've got it all figured out for this week. So definitely check your emails. And if you are not a Patreon subscriber, it's not too late. You can sign up right now, or actually right after this podcast, you can sign up, because you don't want to miss any of the goodness we're talking about. Wait, Charlie's saying New Zealand is a couple of big islands. His first time there, coming to Auckland on Friday, down to the south. I thought it was small. David, I thought you told me you could walk across New Zealand.
Well, there's one part where the island comes really close together, so you can walk from one side to the other, but, I think it's about 24 hours, maybe, to drive from one end to the other all the way, including a ferry boat ride across from one to the other. Yeah, it's, maybe not quite that long. Maybe that's 24 hours around. It's not... It's really long and skinny, so you'll have to see. But yeah, but we did do a coast-to-coast walk in elementary school. We walked from the east coast to the west coast in one part of the Auckland Harbour, where the harbours almost meet. So
And Dan makes a good point. You can walk across anything given enough time. I always like the Google. If you ever, I don't know if it's still that way. Well, in Google Maps, it used to be if you mapped out from like say U.S. to England, that actually had you going through the Atlantic on their like map. It's like drive through the Atlantic from New York to England, and I don't know if it's still like that, but anyway,
they might have fixed it. But anyway, so Patreons, you should get an email Wednesday. But we also have a Patreon-only Box Team Slack channel now, and I try to invite everyone there. And there's that special Patreon-only forum on the Ortus community channel too. So we'll be posting stuff there to get the link. So do you feel like you're missing out on the live stream? You want to get in the action? We have Patreon accounts from just $10 a month, so not too bad for live content. That's pretty cool.
Yep. And what's even just as exciting, I don't want to say more exciting because nothing's more exciting than Gavin and showing us stuff, but just as exciting is our Ortus webinar in June, getting started with legacy migration with Dan Codd. Again, June 24th, time 11 a.m. Central Time. Thank you for whoever put that in there. They're going to be looking at the process of converting legacy CFM-based sites into more modern coding design, which has less overall code. I feel like this is kind of a precursor to his workshop, which looks really cool at the end of the box. So definitely check this out. You get kind of a taste of it. And we posted those links.
Yep, those links are in there. But yeah, exactly. So he's going to talk about sort of the plan and everything, and then at the workshop you'll actually do hands-on what you're planning in this webinar. So very cool. And then we have a June Seattle ColdFusion user group meeting as well. So sending SMS messages using ColdFusion and the Twilio API with Leon and Daniel. And that's June 23rd, 2022. And Seattle's on the Pacific side. So we're going to use 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. Pacific time. Or 7 to 8 Central time. Oh, man.
Thank you, sir.
It's just easier. Hawaiian time, too, for those cool people living in Hawaii. There's a few of them out there. But yeah, so they're restarting the group, so looking forward to getting up and running and join the meetup group and keep up to date on what's going on there. So very cool. And then we have Adobe Workshops. So there's a few Adobe Workshops coming up and some new webinars. And so we have a June 15th, so that's tomorrow. And then that's going to be Brian Sappy's American Adobe ColdFusion Workshop. And then we have on the 22nd, so next week, Damien Bruendonks is doing his one. And that's an all-day ColdFusion workshop. And then we have a couple of webinars coming up too. So Mark Takata is going to be doing Exploring the ColdFusion Administrator Part 2, so follow up from his Part 1 a few weeks back. And that's at 10 a.m. Pacific Time, 12 Central, for those who care. And then July 28th, Mark Takata is back with another session, and he's making games with Adobe ColdFusion. I wonder if he got inspired by my game that I'm talking about, my little quiz game or something. But so he's going to be talking about how ColdFusion's a great backend for making APIs, and that's great to interact with when you're making a game. So that's a pretty cool one as well. So that's Thursday, July 28th. So lots of cool webinars coming out, and there is a full list of all their stuff on the meetus.adobeevents.com/ColdFusion. We can find out about all of those things. And then Carasoft's last workshop was on the 7th of June. So that was another Adobe ColdFusion workshop with the CPE credits. And Carasoft.com has a lot of cool stuff on there. I didn't realize they had quite so much, but they've got Red Hat trainings and Zoom trainings and just a ton of trainings. If you go to Carasoft.com, there might be stuff for you. I know I looked at a few of the AWS trainings, and that I was like, that's pretty cool. I happened to listen to the Working Code podcast where Brian Class was on it, talking about AWS. I think it was from last September or something, but it got me excited about AWS a little more, talking about all the step functions and all those different functions and the 3 million things they have, and I'm like, I need to do some training if I'm going to touch that. So anyway, just thought I'd mention that as a side note. So
too many cool things and too little time and energy.
Yep, for sure. Next up, though, we have CFCast content. Lots of great content, video content, free and paid, up on CFCasts.com. So what have we got new there?
Okay, well, just released Logbox 101, log levels. It's a whole series that Eric Peterson's putting together on all these different cool Logbox things. So there's going to be several more coming out. Also publishing your first ForgeBox package, the ForgeBox admin. These are all Gavin's. I think these are your recordings putting it out there.
Yep.
Coding with Kiwi. So the live stream recordings of what we just did last week and what we're going to be doing this week. We also have a 2022 ForgeBox Module of the Week series, 2 new videos. So if you haven't noticed, and we haven't talked about it enough, because I'm sure that's not the case, we've been going through all the different podcasts and cutting out the VS Code modules of the week and the ForgeBox module of the week and getting them out there on YouTube and on CFCasts. And so just getting all that out there. So lots of content.
Yeah, for sure. We're definitely excited to be getting that out there, and I know a lot of people are really happy that we're doing that, because that way they can get in there and basically, just get the piece they want. They don't have to go back and listen to the news, which is maybe a little old now, a couple weeks, months old, but they can get that little VS Code snippet. I know Dan Card is doing that because he's getting up and running with VS Code, and he's actually going to be doing some blog posts about that, and so we'll be sharing those too when they come out. So
nice,
pretty cool.
Nice.
And we have more coming soon. We have the last couple of videos from my series, Publish Your First ForgeBox Package. We got more from Eric Peterson's Logbox 101. We got more from Coding with the Kiwi and Friends. And then there's a couple new series that are on the way, the Boxifying third-party libraries from Gavin. And then we have more ForgeBox and VS Code podcast snippet videos every week. We'll probably have 2 a week until we catch up, and then there'll be 1 a week after that. So lots of stuff. So
yeah, I'm sorry. I should have mentioned this at the top of the hour. Somebody had a birthday recently. I'm not going to say how many candles would have been on that cake, but our own Gavin had a birthday on Sunday. So happy birthday. I'm not going to sing you, but
yeah, thanks. We had a small fire department do that for me. So okay. Next up, conferences. You want to tell us about what we missed last week?
Absolutely. So in case you missed it, the US VueJS conference in Fort Lauderdale, June 8th through 10th, Beach Code Vue. Actually, I didn't hear how that went. Did any of our people go?
I'm not sure. Did anybody make it? I'm not sure. I know that I saw a lot of cool stuff on Twitter, and some people that were speaking were in Amsterdam the week before, and then flew over to the U.S. for that. So they were really busy, pretty worn out, but they had a lot of time, good time. And there's some cool stuff coming out again. I feel like more and more left behind if I don't attend these conferences, because there's so much new stuff coming out with Vue. But
yep. And the next one is the Apple WWDC, which I believe stands for, Worldwide Developer Conference.
I think that's what it's meant to be.
I'm looking at their website to see what it actually stands. Does anybody know what WWDC stands for? Anyway, we'll say Worldwide Developer Conference until somebody corrects me. That was from June 6th to 10th. And then we had a Quasar conference coming up. Hey, thanks, Charlie. The Quasar conference coming up on Saturday, July 9th at 3 p.m. GMT. On anything you want to know about Quasar or Vue, you can check that out.
Yep, and the call for speakers just ended on that one. But then we have that conference coming up. So that conference...
Which conference?
That conference.
Oh.
That conference. But yeah, so they got a couple conferences. They had the one in Texas in May, and then this one is coming up in Wisconsin in July 25th to the 28th. A summer camp for developers passionate about learning all things mobile, web, cloud, and technology. And they got good taste because they invited Daniel Garcia to talk about his cool Postman and basically your coder's backpack, right? So what do you have in your coder's backpack, Daniel?
Well, I have Postman, I have webhook.site, and I have ngrok.
Those are pretty cool.
And I have the Command Box 103 Tips and Tricks book.
The Command Box?
Sure.
Yeah, there's blank pages right now.
One of these days.
Yeah, so a lot of good stuff there. We also have Adobe Developer Week coming up, and I want to share my screen for this because they have updated, and you're going to like it. Maybe. So,
I like it already.
The Adobe Developer Week 2022, 18th to the 22nd of July. Obviously, it's a great developer week. But look, 2022 speakers, and you might recognize some faces. We got Charlie Earhart in there. We got David Byers, we've talked about before. Ray Camden's in there. Nolan Irk, we know him. Nickel, I've heard of before, but don't know too well. We all know Dave Ferguson and Pete Freitag and JC, Giancarlo Gomez, is going to be speaking. Alfred and Brian Class. I'm not kidding. Luis is going to be speaking.
Nice.
Aditya is going to be there as well. I'm going to be speaking, and Brian Sappi is going to be there. And then Mark Takata and David Tattersall. So
Nice.
it's a pretty good lineup. A lot more speakers than last year because they've changed formats. And as we scroll down, you'll see some of the content. So Luis is talking about modern, functional, and fluent CFML REST APIs, which is going to back up nicely because right afterwards I'm talking about building apps with VueJS and ColdFusion APIs. And we're going to build a little developer feud game, and we'll be using Quasar to spin it up on Spa, Android, and Windows. So that's actually the API that I'm building for the coding with the Kiwi. So that's what I'm working on is to be ready for this. But there's a lot of good content in here. Sneak peek into VS Code Builder. Woo! There's a lot of other cool stuff in here. CI/CD, APIs, some security, the APM. There's a lot of cool stuff. Alpine. Ooh. Ray Camden's talking about Alpine. He got hooked.
Nice.
He actually saw Luis talking about Alpine at DevNexus, and that's when he started looking at Alpine. So that's kind of cool. So yeah, a lot of cool stuff. I'm sure this is Brian class. I didn't know S3 could do that, but a lot of good content. So I'm excited for that. It's going to be really cool, and it's great to be speaking again. And of course, there's a lot of other great ColdFusion community members speaking there as well.
Hey, where did you see who was doing what? Oh, I see. Some of them have it, some of them don't.
Yeah, I just know Luis's is that one because I asked him.
Okay.
I was like, what we should do is we should try and get yours right before mine so you could do the API using my API and then I'll follow it up. I'm like, oh, wait, they're already doing that. I'm like, I guess I'll just make sure mine's fluent enough. So,
Yep.
yeah, so we can.
Hey, Charlie, which one are you doing? Because I see that you're on the page, but they don't have your name in any of the sessions.
Yeah, I see Scott saying you better get started on that app, Gavin. Yeah, I did. I started last week at the Coding with the Kiwi. I've started.
It's true.
There's a lot more work to be done. It's okay. I got a couple more Coding with the Kiwis before that. We'll get it done.
First slot on Monday.
Okay, so which one was that again? Let me see.
I'm looking at the agenda speaker page.
Yeah.
ColdFusion more modern than most realize.
Oh, that would be good. Yeah.
I think that's the first slot on Monday.
Yep, it looks like it. Yep, so they have 4 sessions a day by the look of it over those 5 days, so 20 sessions, so a lot of great content.
We should just make it Charlie's session, whatever he feels like talking about. It's all good.
Yeah.
You'll learn something.
No, but he's right, though. Like, everyone thinks it's dead. No one knows it's, it does half the stuff it does. And even people that are using it, like, I didn't know it did that. That happens all the time. So, yep. And then...
Okay.
and Scott just lost a bet. $10. Charlie's is something about hidden gems. No, it's not, but kind of. Okay, well, that's another cool dev week. And again, Adobe-Confusion-dev-week-2022.attendees.com. So definitely
Nice.
go sign up for that. It's free, even better.
Do you know they're recording these?
I'm sure they are. They used to release those as well. So
because I can download them and watch them on the plane after I'm done with all the Ortus.
hey, where's your plane going? Around the world or what? That's a lot of content.
Go visit Will. It's a 10-hour flight. Okay, so coming up next is the VueJS Forge. Names and dates. The new dates are July 13th and 14th. It's basically this big hackathon for Vue.js. We talked about this a couple of times before. I wanted to get too much because we are looking at the clock here. Organized with the Vue School. Take it out. Take a peek. They did announce the project is going to be a project manager SaaS app, software as a service. I know that one app, and so it looks really, really cool. Now, you going to do this, Gavin? I know you're thinking about it.
Yeah, that's the plan. And it's actually building a little project management, like Trello replacement type thing. So it's a SaaS app. So yeah, I think it'll be good. So I think I've earned a bit of time to do something like that, and it'll be a good experience to meet with some other people. And yeah, I'm kind of curious how it'll be. So I'm excited. So cool. Okay, so Into the Box 2022 is up next. We have it September 6th, 7th, and 8th. Workshops are available. And just remember that the workshops have a limit. We want to make sure that there are not too many people in the workshops. So we do have a seat limit, so make sure you sign up for the workshops before they fill up. One of them already has quite a few. We still have some spots left in all of them right now, but with early bird pricing, I know people are jumping in there. So we keep seeing those tickets come flying in, so we're happy to say that we're filling them up, so jump in on those early. Underthebox.org, you can find all the information and the blog on that site. It does does get lots of content, including those podcasts we talked about earlier too. So check that out because we have updates almost every day. So.
Yep. Sweet. Two things. Charlie mentioned, yep, some of the sessions do have names, some don't. So I guess they did it for some of the others. Some of the names are in the descriptions.
Yep.
And then Scott is asking, is there a way to switch your workshop if you change your mind?
Yeah, I'm sure we can do that, as long as we don't, tell everyone that one of them is full and then, then somebody switches out of it. But yeah, just let us know, Scott, if you need to change the workshop you're doing. And as a speaker, they also get a discount on those workshops too. So if you are speaking, don't forget that. Once you get everything confirmed and all your stuff to us, we'll send you the links to go sign up, and you can register for your workshop at a pretty nice price. So another perk of being a speaker into the box.
Yep. And if you signed up for Gavin's and you decide you don't want to do it, we won't hold it against you, probably.
Yeah, because Daniel's helping me with that one. He's going to be my super TA. So, yep.
Enforcer. TA/enforcer. Pay attention. Mr. Pickin is talking.
Don't talk too much. So what do we got next?
Okay, so CF Summit, it's official. It's at the Mirage on October 3rd and 4th for the main conference, October 5th. The Adobe Certified Professional training classes and tests. Registrations are now open for just $99. Woo!
That's early bird pricing.
Early bird pricing, that's subsidized, and thank you, Adobe, for doing that. So yeah, grab your early bird tickets before June 30th.
But did you see this? This previously was $3.99 for the premium pass, so they dropped that $200 more. So previously it was $99 for the event pass, and if you wanted to do the workshop as well, it was $3.99. Now it's just $1.99. So I don't know if that's because we told everybody it was too hard and they want more people signing up, or they just decided they can, subsidize it some more. But that's a really good deal. So $100 for a certification workshop. It includes 100 hours of, video content and everything. So yeah, sign up before they change their price back.
Yeah, no kidding. Is that the workshop? I heard they just were updating a workshop where it's a little bit more challenging.
That's the one. Or? So yeah, it's not the specialist. This is the professional certification. So this is a much harder one. Yeah, lots of content, but they're really trying to test you to another level to see if you're a true professional, not just a specialist. So that's what Mark was talking about in the Adobe Slack channels. So yeah, $199. That's a pretty good deal. We are working on having our CF Summit workshops from Ortus, and so it'll be the days after the conference. It'll be the 5th and the 6th. We're just finalizing venues and everything now that we had official dates. We got to do the legwork and get that confirmed. So hoping we'll have that maybe by next week. We're just trying to get all our I's dotted and our T's crossed there. So we'll let you know as soon as we know.
Yep. And then the last thing with Summit, call for speakers is not open. There is no closing date yet, but as with all things, I'm sure they'll close at some point. So don't wait. Submit soon.
Yep.
I've already submitted a session. I think, Gavin, you probably have.
I've been thinking about what I should submit because I don't want to do the same thing as Dev Week, but I'll probably submit a few. Yeah, no, I don't want to wait. That's why I put that in there for myself because I'm like, don't wait too long. Yep, for sure. So, and then as we mentioned, the certified professional, 100 hours of video to go over. Then you've got a 1 day of lecture and then the certification at the end. So watch the videos, sit in class, take the exam right there. But it is no joke. It's definitely challenging. But as Mark Takata says, it's super satisfying when you pass.
So you have to watch the 100 hours video before going to Summit, right?
Well, you should. So that's a long plane ride.
It's a very long. That's like visiting Will twice, back and forth.
Yeah, especially if you watch at 3-speed. But we also have Into the Box Latam coming later this year, 2022. We have December 7th as the date. So if you're in that area, keep an eye out for that. And CF Camp, as we mentioned, no CF Camp 2022. They're hoping maybe summer 2023. And then we'll go from there. And yeah, hopefully it'll be good. I'm trying to learn some languages. So when I go to Europe, I'm not a complete fool. But I just hope I sound more New Zealand and American, that's all. So we'll see. So,
David just said he got his. Wasn't that bad? Out of context, I'm not sure what you're talking about. Is it the Adobe certification with 100 hours of content in the test?
Did you get the specialist or did you get the new one, David? The new one, the professional, I don't think they've done yet. So maybe you're special.
He is special. All our Patreons are special, Gavin. Come on.
I know, but I mean, anyway. So yeah, apparently the specialists. Oh, you got
AC.
okay.
Ah,
Because I thought that
congrats.
I thought the specialization one was pretty easy, but you got it. So okay. So David's going to be our tutor. So if you need to study up for that, he's available.
He's done it.
So very cool.
Do they have different levels of like if you score this much, you're like a super advanced versus just scoring this much, you're certified, or is it just all or nothing?
We'll wait for David to answer that, but it's much more OO focused. Interesting. Very cool. Okay.
Okay.
Well, next up, let's talk about blogs, tweets, and videos of the week. And the first one, this one is from Ben Adele. And he said this one's mainly a post for himself. And that's one thing that Ben does and he recommends too, is like, you know what, write your blog for yourself, because eventually you can search your site to try and find all the stuff that you want to remember. So if you start off your blog that way, it'll be helpful to other people too. But yes, this one is basically a permission slip to relax his previous constraints of his mind. So basically, he used to do update methods, and sometimes this method would update an optional relationship in the domain model, and sometimes that row wasn't guaranteed to exist, and so he started doing this little on duplicate key update semantics, and it basically allowed him to either create the row or update it, depending if it existed or not, and basically it's kind of a nice setup. And so he walks through how he did this, and he used to have stuff like update this if this exists, if this exists, if this exists, type thing, and then he decided to use an upsert. So insert into thing, set something on duplicate key value, update. But then he's like, well, if I do that, it's kind of nice, but what about this name? Now the update doesn't really exist. It doesn't make sense because really it's creating a thing or it's updating a thing. So he's just basically saying it's okay to give it a weird name, like a create thing or return existing ID. Like it's okay to have these big long names because they're detailed. They say exactly what they're doing, and that's sort of as he said, a personal revelation. It's not a new idea, but looking at some of the stuff he did for the Mongo Java API, they have update one, update many, find and modify, find one and update, find one and replace, bulk write. So this is sort of the same thing, so it's good to be meaningful, right? Clean code, use the name that's meaningful. We're not worrying about how many characters we have to shove everything into. So that's pretty neat. Wait, hold on. Scott said, wait, he listened to my suggestion? So is this one of the suggestions from you, Scott, to change the name or to do an upsert? I think I remember something like that.
I don't know, but out of context, it could be anything, Scott.
Yeah. But yeah, so it was a good blog post. I like the upsert idea. I started doing that in a few of my apps where you had some race conditions and everything, and we have another blog post soon that'll be talking about that. So anyway, what else do we have?
Okay, from our own Michael Bourne, how can you use a jar library in CFML? It's a blog post. He talks about how 2 different ways you can instantiate jar files into your CodeFusion. You can do it the traditional way, I would guess. I don't know, maybe it's not traditional, but basically setting it up in your application CFC and loading it up when it starts up. Or you can use the handy dandy Java loader and just load it up when you need it. And then also using Java Loader with Wirebox makes it very easy to inject and consume these different libraries.
Yep. Very, very cool. And I'll probably be using that in my Online CF Meetup soon, showing people how to use some Java libraries in CodeFusion. So that's...
Did I post? I'm sorry.
It's okay.
You do yours. I forgot to post mine.
Sorry, we got so distracted. Good content. Good content. So next up, we have one from Vilderun, and he's in the chat right now. But this one, it's kind of a good one too. I like talking about Logbox. Again, we have the CFCast series on Logbox, but this is talking about automated archival of your logs. So when you start using that and you're using Logboxes, efficiently, and you're using them a lot, it can add up really quickly. Use log files or database tables with many log entries. And so Wills talks about how to automate archiving this. So basically, you have ideas of like log rotates in systems like Linux. And if you're doing something like the rolling file appender or the DB appender, there's different ways to do it. And so, he talks about some options and approaches here. So, I have to actually look and see how he's doing this for a few things. I actually have a couple of systems. I have database table names that have some naming. So when it basically each month it would create a new table for those logs, and it would just update, basically archive the old table periodically, and that way I can remove them or move them to another database, maybe to a read-only database, and get them out of the right database and stuff like that. So
Yep.
I thought it was really cool. I got to go through it and maybe I can improve mine. So thanks, Phil, for sharing that. Yeah, I definitely think that's important with as many logs as we should be keeping. That's
one thing I was reading through it. Maybe I missed it because I didn't read it with a fine-tooth comb. But if you're going to be having huge tables, one thing you do want to be careful about is you're not constantly having it archived throughout the day. If you've got too much data, you may want to think about just having a scheduled task once a night, off hours, to kind of do that en masse. Otherwise, your appender might be doing a lot throughout the day if it's always checking to see how many logs to rotate and so forth. Just something to keep in mind depending on how much data you got.
Yeah, and that's the other thing too. Like if you're using the system for logs, especially, writing them, you want to make that as fast as possible to write because logs a lot of writing. So you want to reduce the indexes. So what you want to do when you do archive them is move them over somewhere where you can add indexes or add a way to read through them that's more efficient, because if you have a lot of indexes and you're writing a ton, it's going to really slow down your database. So you want to make sure that you have almost no indexes to insert them, and then you can add indexes in your archival state or your read state, so that way you can actually do something with them. But that's one thing people don't realize is indexes, index slow you down when you're inserting or updating, but they speed you up when you're reading. And with logs, usually you're writing, so you need less of them. If you're reading, you want more indexes. So just something to be aware of. Okay. What have we got next?
So another blog post or podcast, blog podcast from Brad. We kind of mentioned this earlier about his workshop test box, getting started with BDD and TDD with Brad Wood. Basically the podcast talking through, if you're undecided about taking his workshop, what to expect, what they're going to be doing. You're showing it here. Yep. Kind of, what's the agenda and all that stuff that will be covered.
Yep. So objectives, requirements, and a little bit of other stuff. And these ones are nice, short little interviews too. So don't worry, you don't have to waste a whole hour or whatnot. They're just short, sharp, to the point. Basically what the ideal audience is, why they should attend. What's it going to cover, requirements, etc. So trying to keep it short and sharp, but get the information you need to make the right choice and pick the right workshop. So
I would say next to our workshop, Gavin and Dan's and everyone else's on the workshops, that is the one not to miss.
Everyone needs more testing.
Not to miss, and never mind.
They're all pretty.
I was trying to do a bit here where none of them you want to miss, and it didn't work out.
It's all good. They're definitely good.
I want some coffee. Okay.
So next up, we have a relational database table to prevent double form submissions in Cold Fusion. And so this one is from Ben and Daniel, and he was talking on the Working Code podcast with Adam Tuttle. They're talking about accidental double form submissions when there's no natural key in the database to attach a unique index. And so Adam had an idea. I listened to this podcast too. So Adam was suggesting submitting a GUID along with a form post and storing that GUID in the target table. And it was a pretty good idea, and I thought it was pretty neat, and actually have some some offline data sync stuff that I deal with, and been working with this type of thing. And the cool thing that Ben said is he didn't like that idea. He thought maybe I could have a separate database table that does nothing but prevent double form submissions. And the reason he does it is because it's easy to clean up, because otherwise you're going to have that GUID in that table forever, where you really only need it when you're worrying about the double form submission. So that's what Ben goes to try and design here. So he's got this little double submission token. It has a token, it expires, and then you can use that expires date to go clean up. So he walks through that, and it was pretty good. He talked about how some double form submissions aren't so bad, but some are really, really, really bad, and it could cause a critical failure. And so I really like this. So good blog post there from Ben. Go check that one out, and I bet a lot of you probably have these issues, and those double form submits have probably caused you a few headaches over time. We also had another blog post here from Ortus Solutions, and basically we just started doing this recently because we couldn't keep track of where all our content was for the week because we're doing, like last week, we had 3 different podcasts that we released. We had, 6 different videos on CFCasts. We got all these videos getting posted to YouTube, and then we have all these blog posts on the Ortus blog and the Box blog. So one big summary of everything, and so you can grab your stuff and not miss out on all the crazy Ortus stuff that we're doing. So hopefully you guys will like that one too. And then what else do we have?
Another I2B podcast series. This one, the workshop, Legacy Code Conversion to the Modern World with Dan Codd. Now, we mentioned this earlier, how Dan's going to be showing you in his workshop how to do a legacy code conversion and basically modernize it. Start with the CFM page and do all the things you can do to refactor it, what makes the site traditional versus modern. Start simple and work your way up. And this is going to be a very, very cool workshop. I've been kind of getting sneak peeks of what Dan's putting together. And again, next to everyone else's workshop, it's an awesome workshop. So you people have a challenge on what workshop you want to attend, but just come to at least one of them.
Yep, and I like these workshops are real hands-on too, and so you're going to be looking at different approaches. And his one is starting is real simple. It's just a CFML page, and you're refactoring as you're going through it, and and sort of looking at traditional versus modern, and like is it really legacy, and really a cool way to sort of start integrating and migrating.
Gotta start somewhere.
Yep, so really good. And then next up, we have another one from Tony Junkies. He's been working with this PDF box from Apache. And so in this one, he talks about how to merge PDFs into one with CFML and PDF box. And so you might be thinking, well, I can do this in ColdFusion already. Why do I need something else? Well, the cool thing is that when you're working with really big PDFs and you're basically reading them into memory. And the cool thing is that basically with this, we're using Java input and output streams, and so you can actually work with PDFs bigger than the size of your memory on your ColdFusion box. So that is kind of neat. So when you're working with thousands of pages in PDFs, like ColdFusion just doesn't have the memory to be able to do all the merging quite the same, and so sometimes you need to drop down to Java, and the PDF box from Java allows you to do that. So a little bit of setup with command box shows you how to do that, and how to update your application in CFC, and then look at the merge component. So again, it does use a whole bunch of Java stuff. So if you guys are wanting to use Java, again, this might be something I'll talk about in my my session. Yeah, the online library, because it's a good example of when you'd want to use a third-party tool instead of trying to write it yourself, right? And this is where they have the expertise to do so. So it breaks it down and spells it all out. So this is really detailed. In the end, though, pretty cool. You got a couple little component paths here, and then away you go. So thanks, Tony, for sharing that one. It's a great article for that. So
yep. Hey, ColdFusion is a Java language, right?
Yep, built on the JVM. Yeah, we have it there to leverage it, make it work. So.
Oh, look, Abilio's joined the chat. Hello, Abilio. So in case you missed it, last week we started off the Gavin Pickin live stream series, Coding with Kiwi and Friends. And I don't think we need to say this, but I'm going to, in case you don't know. A Kiwi is a term for New Zealanders, and Gavin is from New Zealand. And so Coding with Kiwi is coding with the New Zealander and friends.
And just for those watching, you can see a kiwi is a little bird, not a kiwi fruit. Although if you take the beak off and the legs off, it might look like a kiwi fruit. It's not green inside. Don't try that. They're endangered. You get in trouble.
I felt very silly the first time I confused that with the fruit for the bird, and it was awkward with Gavin. But he forgave me.
Yeah, the funny thing is that, yeah, we call them kiwi fruit in New Zealand because there's obviously a reference. But, yeah, here they're just kiwi birds and kiwi fruit, but you just call them kiwis. So
Kiwi.
And apparently you're not the only one, Daniel. David didn't know that either, so there you go.
Gavin is a bird, not a... Anyway.
A little fruity, but yeah. Bird brain. Too funny.
Okay, so I thought it was fruit as well. Well, kiwi is a fruit. It's just not in context of the New Zealanders.
Yep.
Do they actually have kiwi fruit in New Zealand?
Oh, heck yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
But try and learn something new on every podcast. It's not just ColdFusion, people. It's
although there is a lot of Chinese, like a lot from China. They try to create a new version of it that was actually orange inside, and they had the brand name Zest Free. But anyway, kiwi fruit's just better.
We learned kiwi's a fruit or a bird, and that New Zealand is in Oceania.
And it's not a continent.
It's not a continent, just a big island. Okay, so we had another vlog podcast series about the conference with Gavin Pickin. This one, again, we talked about before. This is your lovely wife interviewing you on the conference. Go check it out. You're so much more polite with her than you are with us, Gavin.
Oh, I am? Oh.
Yeah, you talk so much more proper, and
I don't know about that.
No, you're trying to impress.
It's pretty funny. I wasn't sure if I should keep it a mystery or not, but we're blowing that. Scott was trying to figure out who it was, so too funny. Okay, lots of blogs, tweets, and videos, but we're up to find a job. So cfmljobs.com. We have a couple of new jobs posted this week, so I'll share my screen for those watching. So we have a senior full stack developer from Boston, Massachusetts. So they'll know how to say Dan Card. Hard. Yeah, I can say it. And a typical operations cold fusion engineer at remote. So a couple of jobs there. 96 positions from 53 companies, 47 locations in 5 countries. And you can see there's been quite a few over the months there. And it's a great place to post your job offering too. But we also have some other ones in here. We have the Patreon sponsored job posting for Motorsport Reg. So they're looking for 2 senior software engineers to work primarily with their Node, VueJS, Cold Fusion, AWS to improve their platform and build greenfield experiences. They've got a big 25-person team supporting 1,600 organizations with their SaaS CRM, commerce, and event management platform. And they have 8,000 events managed annually, and it's pretty cool. They want to be the #1 software for automotive and motorsport events. So if you want to join them, get in the seat. And then we also have job offers up on the Ortus Solutions website. Clear Capital, Carol from the Working Code podcast has some positions available up there too. And there's job channels in the CFML Slack team and the Box Slack team if you'd want to look for a job there. Okay, let's get on to the next piece. ForgeBox module of the week. And this week we're going to be talking about the RabbitMQ SDK. So this one I think it's had some recent updates, and that's why we're highlighting again. I think we talked about it a couple of years ago. It's been around for a while. But the cool thing is RabbitMQ is an open source message broker software. It originally implemented the advanced message queuing protocol and has been extended with a plugin architecture to support streaming text-oriented messaging protocol, MQ, telemetry, transport, and other protocols. So, long story short, it helps you do some cool stuff that we can't do traditionally with Cold Fusion. But yeah, it helps you manage queues, send messages, consume messages, and then you can basically work with the Rabbit client. You can also set up channels, and then you have messages. And it's pretty neat. The cool thing is when you do this right with RabbitMQ, you can actually have jobs being submitted from one thing or another, and it can be consumed by different things. So you could actually have 3 or 4 different types of consumers or message senders, and the queue can sort of manage them all. And so Luis has done presentations out in the years where RabbitMQ, he had 3 or 4. He had like a Java consumer and a Node consumer and a Cold Fusion consumer, and things would add messages and consume them and let RabbitMQ know. But if you've been working with AWS before, you probably use like the simple queue service or something like that, where you have jobs that get spun up, and so maybe you want to resize some images or video or send mail. You can basically put them in a queue and then go through and process items off the queue, and this is exactly what you'd use this for. Using it for quite a few different things. But yeah, so it's pretty nice and simple to get set up. It is an additional service you have running, but it's pretty cool. So if you guys are looking at using some queuing system, Rabbit is really neat, open source. We love it, and we're actually using Stomp on top of this for some WebSocket type stuff and some of our clients. And as you can see, there's lots and lots of documentation in here, some examples of how to start a consumer and which queue to point it at and everything. And then definitely want to check out Luis's sessions about RabbitMQ and queues and everything if you want to get started with that. So that is our ForgeBox module of the week. It's got some updates and adding more and more to it all the time. So RabbitMQ SDK.
Nice.
Now, VS Code hint, tip, and trick of the week this week. This is a new one called Test Explorer UI. So testing can be a manual process, if not a complicated one. So the Test Explorer UI is an extension that helps provide developers a UI for running their tests via Visual Studio Code. Obviously, TestBox allows you to run it in the browser. You can run it in the command line or whatnot. And this is something I think we should work on, because right now it supports JavaScript and a lot of other languages, but we need to get it working with TestBox too. But if you are a JavaScript developer, or if you do some of these other languages, this will work for you right now. And then it's pretty cool. I like the way they've got it set up. And again, for JavaScript, it works with Mocha, Jasmine, Karma, Jest. I haven't even heard of a couple of these, so these are pretty cool. But again, there's tons of other languages of C, C#, Go, Java as well, Lua, Python, PHP. So we got to get CFML on this list, everybody. So
TestBox one. TestBox today.
Yeah, we need to get TestBox in here. So it doesn't run yet, but my goal is to try and get it running. So it'll be kind of cool. So if you are running VS Code and you're using one of those languages already, it'd be good to try it out. And then like I said, hopefully we can bug Brad and get it set up for ColdFusion as well. So basically, we just need to get a test adapter extension set up, and hopefully we can get it going. So, and it's cool that it actually works in VS LiveShare as well, which is pretty neat. So that is our VS Code hint, tip, and trick of the week. But next up, we have Patreons.
So big thank you to all our Patreon supporters. Of course, these are the individuals who are personally supporting our open source initiatives, ensure the great toolings like CommandBox, ForgeBox, CodeBox, ContentBox, TestBox, and other boxes keep getting the continuous development they need. And side note, if you don't know what all those boxes are, I believe Dan Codd is going to be doing a session into the box, kind of saying these are all the box things and why they're cool and why you might want to use them. So a very cool session to look for later. As always, you can support us on Patreon. And don't forget, we have annual memberships. Pay for the year and save 10%, which is great for businesses. Bronze packages and up. Now get a ForgeBox Pro and CFCasts subscription as a perk. All Patreon supporters have a profile badge on the community website. All Patreon supporters have their own private forum access on the community website. All Patreon supporters are being added to the Box Team Patreon channel, private channel that Gavin put together last week, I believe.
Yep.
Of course, and one of the huge perks is live stream access to Coding with Kiwi and Friends. You can attend live and online and participate in the conversation. So go check it out, community.ortussolutions.com.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. We're trying to get more and more perks back, and this is something that quite a few people had talked to us about doing live streams, and one of them was not actually not a patron supporter, but we're like, I guess you'll have to sign up. Sorry, because that or wait for the replay. But we're excited to do more like that. We've actually talked about doing office hours too in the future. And Scott said he was there. He really enjoyed the Coding with the Kiwi and Friends. So it was neat. Like I said, we're trying to make it pretty relaxed, pretty friendly, and involve the group. So we're sort of talking a little bit about the code. It's a little bit of peer program, but a lot of just understanding different workflows and trying to get the best practices from everybody. Because like we do things our way, doesn't mean it's the perfect way or the best way. Best practice is best as we know it right now, but really they should be called better practices because we're just trying to get better and better. They're not the best because we haven't necessarily found the new way yet. So
that reminds me of I think it was Dan Wilson, a session at a conference years ago. It's like best practices are best until they're not.
Yep.
And then he went and talked about all the different ways of when they're not.
Yep. So. Exactly. Yeah. And everything's always, contingent of the current situation and the inputs and figuring out the best way to get the right outputs. So pros and cons, it depends. But anyway, one thing we do know for sure is that we want to thank our Patreons, and so I'm going to murder their names right now. So John Wilson from Synatrix, Brian Ginnelli, I always say that wrong, Ginnelli from Haggerty Motorsports Reg, Jordan Clark, Eric Hoffman, Gary Knight, Mario Rodriguez, Giancarlo Gomez, David Bellinger, he's in the chat, hello. Dan Card's in the chat too, Jonathan Perrett, Jeffrey McGee from Sunstar Media, Dean Maunder, Phil DeBruin's in the chat, Joseph Lamery, Don Bellamy, Jan Yannick, Laxmo Terahadi, Carvan Stanton, Jeremy Adams, Didier Lesnicki, Matthew Clemente, Daniel Garcia, he's the host.
Yo.
Scott Steinbeck, who's in the chat. Agri Tracking Systems is in the chat too. Ben Diddell, Brett DeLine, Kai Koenig, Charlie Earhart, who's in the chat. Jonas Erickson, Jason Dager, Sean Oden, Matthew Darby, Ross Phillips, Edgardo Cabezas, Patrick Flynn, Stephanie Mundy, John Wish, Kevin Wright, Peter and Mary. We got lots of great supporters, and it's really cool to see so many in the chat. And I probably missed a couple that were in the chat, and I just haven't seen them. But we got a lot of people and a lot of Patreons. And yeah, we just want to thank all of you, and you can see an up-to-date list of sponsors on Ortus Solutions' website. We try to keep that up to date as best we can. That's at ortussolutions.com/about-us/sponsors. And yeah, that's another week in the books.
Oh, some could be in the chat. You know what we did not do, Gavin? We didn't ask what Charlie had for lunch.
Oh.
He told us the other week that he was having some sort of bacon thing. And then I think you were wondering about Scott. What does Scott have for lunch?
Yep. It's almost lunchtime for us over here, Pacific time. So, probably just hunger time. No lunch yet for Charlie. He's had a busy day, I guess. Busy day.
Man, it's like 2 o'clock, Charlie. Come on.
Oh, Scott's having a burrito. Good. So, now we can leave. We've got all the information we need for the week. So, we'll come back next week and we'll find out who else is going to be having their lunch shared.
I'm just looking for ideas because I'm eating lunch after this. So
perfect. Well, lots of great content last week. Lots more coming this week. And you guys have a great one. And we'll see you all soon. Have a good one, everybody.
See ya.
Bye. Sponsored by Rubio's.
Nice.
Show notes for this episode can be found at cfmlnews.modernize.io, where you can also subscribe to your favorite podcast player like Spotify or iTunes. We also have the link to YouTube to find more videos just like this. The music used in this podcast is under a royalty-free license from Sound.com and Blue Tree Audio.